Welcome back, my friends, to the next session of project management from Vluvel. I'm happy to have you back, and we're going in next step. After this step, you will get some homework for your case study to do. So please listen carefully to what I'm telling you. Going back on what we did last time, you see again the 8 steps of project planning. You remember we are still in the project planning phase. We did not yet start the project. We just are on the way to plan the project, to do a proper planning as a basis for success. So next one to do is the project flow plan. The project flow plan is nothing else than to group all the identified elements from the project structure plan in logical units and row them up time-wise. How do we do this? See to my next slide, and you remember that's where we ended up. We put these elements into logical units, or more or less logical units. So what we could do as next would be to name the groups. Sorry, this was the dog I have to look after. He welcomes you as well to the program. So maybe for the first group, we could name this group as management. The next group we could name as hotel planning, as this is all the planning activities. The third group, that's an easy one. We could call this the construction group. The next one, eventually, we would call this the concept, development of the hotel concept. And the last group here would be something like the operations of the hotel after finishing the hotel. So, very simple so far. Very simple so far. Now, what is really the element of the project flow plan? We want to show the flow of the project. We have to think about all these elements. We have to put them in a logical order, and we have to row them up. That means we need to know what is connected to each other. For this reason, I would like to show you another option how we can define, or we can design a project structure. This is in a way of a flow, of a mind map. Maybe you know this technology. You put one element. You remember all the names now. I explained this already. You put all the elements there in one branch of the diagram and make sub-branches in the diagram and group them in a logical way. That's a very easy way as well. If you have a computer program like me, it makes, in a way, it's fun to put them around. If you don't work with the computer and work manually, still the post-it version with this self-gluing papers is the most simple one because you can move them around. Very, very simple. So now again, we have all these elements of a project and we group them logically, and now we have to row them up in a logical order. How to do this? Just thinking logical. You guys, you all are very intelligent people. You are still alive in week 3 of the program, so you know how to do it. It's just a logical understanding of the processes. So, you see, very simple. It's clear the first step we have to do is to create a concept. We need to know the size, the standard, the guest segments. We actually need to have a business plan before we start with the detailed planning. Everything else is not logical. So this is the first step. The next step is the project planning. We start to plan the project. We need to look for location. Is this now in Mainfeld? Is it somewhere else? Do we want to be on a hilly side, close to a lake? Sorry, we don't have a lake in Mainfeld, or where else? We have to look for a plot. We have to make blueprints. We have to apply for construction permission, and. That's the next step. If this is done properly, we can work on the construction. You see, this is a sequential, there are 3 sequential units. One has to be after the next. One has to be finished before the next can start. By the way, this is called milestones. We come back to this later on. So, next one is the construction, as I mentioned already. Construction is also start with the spade, excavations, make the foundation, the shell, the building up, and. That's what has to be done step by step. But you see, now we have 2 elements in parallel. The management, hiring staff, hiring the management, start sales activities, hire staff, train staff, make PR. This can be in parallel to construction. We don't have to wait until construction is finished. If we first construct or finish the hotel and then on the next stage start to hire staff, the hotel is finished and we have to wait a whole couple of months, which is lost money. So we can do it in parallel. And last but not least, we go into operations, the pre-opening, the grand opening, and all these points. You see, one of the most important elements in this project flow plan is that we identify which parts of the project has to be sequential. First phase must be finished before we start second phase, and which parts can be in parallel. That are the elements. If we put them sequential, we need more time. If we put them in parallel, we can save time. That's very important. Now, I mentioned before at the beginning, I have a task for you. This case study or rough case study we discussed about, that's just a school or a training element. Now I want you to work on your own idea. And it's a training you're doing for yourself, for your study efforts. That means you study on, you design in your thoughts a noun hotel in your location. You create the hotel concept. And now, of course, you cannot work as you are spread out over the whole world, I guess. You cannot do this in groups, unfortunately, but as an exercise, you do this whole work for yourself. You create the hotel. You make roughly a business case about size, elements of the hotel. Then you go through this brainstorming. Think about what all you need for the hotel. Can be based on what we have here on the slides, can be totally different, or for sure you will find more points than I identified here, because it's just an idea to show you how to do this. And then you create your own project structure plan and you create your project flow plan. Let's see whether you manage successful to do this. As a repetition again, in the structure plan, just bring things together you need to do to end up with a total hotel. In a second step, you group them, and in a third step, you row them up in a logical order and show what has to be sequential, what has to be parallel. Just to make sure you don't have to hand in this homework, you just do it for yourself. So, if you have questions, go into the blog. Good luck and looking forward to see you soon. Bye bye.